Welcome to the Universal Recap. Over 20 years pass and now the chief of the Omaticea clan Jake lives peacefully with his wife Neytire and their biological kids Neytire, Loke, and Tuck. However, they've also adopted Kiri, who was born from Grace's avatar, and Spider, a young human boy who was born on the human military base during the invasion and was left behind by the military. He was raised by Jake, so Spider considers himself more Navi than human, but Neytire worries about Spider because he's the son of the enemy. One morning, Jake and Neytire are astonished to discover that humans are returning to their planet, destroying everything on their path, and wanted to repeat the history. 2 years later, scientists in the space station are trying to combine their soldiers' memory with newly hatched avatar body. Colonel Quaritch, who died during the first invasion, was very annoyed to discover he was dead, but soon he was explained everything the scientist had done. In the tape left by himself before he dies, he explains his memories were copied into the computer so he could be cloned after death, and he now wants revenge on Jake as he was defeated by him last time. Meanwhile, Jake's warriors attack their transportation lines. Most of them use traditional weapons, but Jake uses guns, explosives, and human microphones with his family. During the attack, Loke disobeys Neytire and jumps into the battleground. Neytire goes after him, but soon they get attacked by a human ship. Loke jumps away, but Neytire gets hurt. Soon Jake arrives to rescue him from the fire. Jake scolds them for their childish acts as he is afraid of losing them, but Neytire tries to remind her husband not to be so hard on them because they're kids. Later, the kids go visit Max, one of the few scientists that betrayed the army and joined the Pandora defense team. Then Kiri visited the lab where Grace was kept in a liquid solution and watched videos of her human appearance from the past. Spider gets hurt when his siblings make fun of him for being a son of an enemy. The next morning, Colonel lands on the new human base in Pandora with his team, and they are amazed to see the progress they had made with new advanced technology. The team then visit the forest, and after some time they found the place where the colonel died and got to see the remains of his previous body stuck inside a huge machine. At the same time, kids were having fun in the forest and getting some food, but they hide immediately behind the trees when they spot the enemy. Loke tells his father about the human invasion in the forest. As they try to hide, they're trapped by Colonel and his team. The colonel immediately recognizes them as Jake's kid, but soon he is surprised as he saw Spider, who turns out to be his own son. In the darkness, Jake and Neytire approach them from the other side of the forest. Neytire makes a bird-like sound to alert the kids of her presence before she and Jake begin killing soldiers. Immediately, the kids bite the soldiers and run away from them. Colonel recognizes Neytire's arrows and asks her to reveal her location. However, Neytire decides to join the fight with his mother. Soon, a human ship arrives to pick up Colonel's team, so Neytire starts reuniting her kids. This allows the colonel to take Spider with him when he escapes. At the human base, Spider is tortured by restoring his old memories and putting on a laser mask on his face, but he withstands the pain and doesn't say a word. Colonel tries to approach him gently, telling the kid he is his real father and he misses him, effectively convincing Spider that he is doing everything for mankind on Earth. When the family returns home, Jake tells Neytire to leave this place as the colonel will return for his family again. Jake convinces Neytire to leave. Before departing, Jake chooses a king for the clan people and goes through a traditional ritual. The family gets to leave for the Metkayina coast where locals are adapted to aquatic life and can stay longer underwater without breathing. When the family arrives after a long trip, Chief Tanawari and his wife Ronald worry about them because of their human history and the danger of war. But since their tradition allows them to give shelter to needy ones, their family gets to stay. Tanawari asks his children to teach them their way of living. While his son Aunang was offended by his father, daughter Rhea gladly shows them the place all around. From that day, Jake and his family try to adapt to aquatic life by working on things like riding Ilu, an aquatic creature, and holding their breath underwater for a long time. While everyone faced difficulties adapting to the changes, surprisingly Kiri doesn't need to learn any extra tricks. She can naturally stay underwater for hours. She instantly develops a bond with all the creatures of the sea. Meanwhile, the colonel developed a bond between him and Spider by taking him on some important missions. In return, Spider also takes them to mountains millions of ikrans, dangerous flying creatures that can't be captured by anybody by force. Colonel gives it a try to overcome the creature but accidentally falls off the mountain. The team thinks the Colonel might be dead, and as they were about to leave, Colonel make an astonishing flight by riding the big bird. Back on the beach, Kiri was interrupted by Aonang and his friends as they started teasing. Lok and Neytire were annoyed by his behavior and soon they started fighting with Aonang. Jake scolds his sons for their actions. On the other hand, Neytire tries to comfort Kiri, who is upset about the fight. Afterward, Lok apologizes to Aonang and his friends for the fight. Aonang then takes him to a secret location for fishing underwater, but while Lok was busy watching the sea plants, Aonang and his friend left him behind all alone to crack a prank on him. Soon Lok comes to the water's surface and was worried about how to find the way back home. However, his thoughts are abruptly interrupted when he is hit by a giant sea shark. Lok quickly swims underwater to hide among the aquatic plants, but soon he has to come up as he cannot hold air for that long. The shark comes after him, but suddenly, an enormous whale-like creature called a tulku shows up to defeat the shark and helps Lok out of the danger. Later, Lok wakes up on top of the Tulukan whale who saved him from drowning underwater. Lok and the Tulukan whale become friends and thanks for the help. He removes an iron hook from its arms left by the human army. The Tulukan whale then guides Lok back to the village, although it leaves before being seen. Lok reunites with his family and takes all the blame on himself in front of Tonawari. He lies to him saying it was all his idea, but Jake scolds him again for making his family feel shame again because of him. Afterward, Aonang wonders why Lok lied to the family, but Lok tells him he just wants friends here. The next morning, Lok tells everyone about his adventure, and the locals realize that Lok met the Payakan whale, a Tulukan whale that was abandoned by the king for killing innocent creatures. No one agrees with Lok when he says Payakan whale's actually nice and saved his life. A few hours later, Lok goes back looking for Payakan whale and asks him about the rumors about him, but Payakan whale refuses to explain. Rhea takes Kiri to their clan's tree of souls. Soon Kiri attaches herself to the tree and gets a memory of Grace's spirit. Kiri asks why she's different and who her father is, but soon Kiri suddenly has a seizure. Her siblings take her back to the village where Ronald brings her back to consciousness using her traditional medicinal ritual. Max explains to Jake that Kiri had a heart attack and she shouldn't connect to any aquatic tree ever again. Colonel tracks Max's ships to find the location of Jake, but he was only able to find the right direction. Then his team went island to island in search of Jake's family. Colonel takes his team to ask for help with a whaler ship, and when the whalers refuse to help, Colonel threatened them with death. While a group of Tulkus makes their way to visit Tonawari's village, Colonel follows them from above. Spider finally sees how harmful Colonel is when he captured the locals to get information on Jake, then kills the resident of the island and set their home on fire as they didn't reveal anything about Jake. The news of Colonel's arrival reaches Tonawari, who warns Jake he's being chased after all. Jake narrates the situation to Neytire and asks her to be patient as she is always ready to fight with Colonel. In the meantime, Lok visits Payakan whale while his friends and siblings watch from the deep waters. Lok was curious to know why Payakan whale is abandoned by the king, so the creature opens its jaws and Lok gets inside to connect his mind with Payakan whale as Kiri does with the aquatic tree. This allows him to see the whole picture. It turns out Payakan whale's mother was attacked by the human army and Payakan whale fought back to defend her, accidentally killing their own people. At last, they all were able to understand that Payakan whales were innocent and narrated the whole story to the king of the tribe. Rhea also supports Lok and expresses how proud she is of him. Sometime later, Colonel makes a plan of hunting Tulukan whales and killing them. By doing this he will hurt the tribe's sentiments and they will automatically turn their backs on Jake. Spider then watches a terrible hunting machine making a painful sensation for Tulukans. These forces Tulukans to come to the surface of the sea, and eventually, the army launches a specialized tracking missile which gets stuck on its wing. Hunting Tulukan whales for Jake was not their first priority. Colonel was told the only reason they hunt Tulukan whales is to extract their brain DNA to use them in anti-aging medicines on Earth and when they dispose of the body back in the ocean. This whole thing was noticed by Jake and he explains to the villagers that by tracking the Tulukan whale they just need to catch Jake, so they all need to be calm to overcome the situation. Now their first priority is to send away their sea creatures in order to protect them from Coronel. Lok realizes that he needs to warn Payakan whale because no one else will protect him as he is abandoned by them. Neytire, Aonang, Rhea, and Lok all were shocked to see a similar tracker on the Payakan whale's fin, and they know Coronel will arrive here soon, so they all try to remove the hook from its fin. But it was too late. Coronel already got the location and he headed towards them. Locke uses his communicators to alert Jake of the upcoming danger, and Jake immediately orders the whole village to grab their weapon, and they all jump on their elos to join the fight. The colonel immediately sends his men after the kids to capture them, leaving Payakan Whale behind. After a long underwater chase, they capture Locke, Tuck, and Rhea with a net. Spider rushes on deck to help his brothers but is detained by fellow soldiers back in the control room. Jake and the villagers arrived and were about to attack the ship, but Colonel ties their kids in front, making them a shield for himself. Colonel takes Locke's communicator and asks Jake to come alone. Suddenly Payakan Whale jumps onto the ship to protect his fellow kids. In an instant, Jake and the villagers also attack the ship from the other side. The whalers turn around their boats to attack Payakan Whale with harpoons. A deadly fight begins between them, but Navi quickly gains the upper hand thanks to their creatures moving faster in the sky and hiding underwater quickly. Kiri uses her bond with sea life to send aquatic plants after the ship and throws a boat on the main deck engine, making a big explosion. Inside, Spider takes advantage of the situation and activates the blade, spreading fire all over the ship. He also begins to destroy the main panel. The ship eventually starts drowning in the sea. Meanwhile, Jake fights against Colonel. Jake suddenly grabs the other creature by the neck and throws Coronel in the water, making him weak. On the other side, the army shoots a steel rope to capture Payakan Whale, but Payakan does another jump and uses that same rope to destroy the boat. At the main ship, Neytire finally manages to free his sibling. Now Locke and Neytire heads towards the main cabin to save Spider. At that moment, Kiri is captured by one of the soldiers. Tuck and Rhea return to rescue her, but eventually get caught up by the colonel. By climbing the ceiling of the ship, Locke attacks the soldiers and takes away the Spider with them, escaping the bullets by jumping into the water. Rhea shows up in her ilu and offers a ride to them. Then they got to know Neytire is shot by a bullet and they all carry him to a safe island. Jake and Neytire look at him, but unfortunately, Neytire can't hold the pain and dies in their arms. At that moment, Colonel contacts Jake and asks him to come alone, as now he has his daughter. Spider guides Jake on how to sneak into the ship. The soldiers are in position waiting for Jake at the front, but Spider shows Jake how to sneak inside. Jake launches a grenade on the main deck, causing an explosion. Neytire jumps in and begins killing soldiers. Neytire is very angry and started killing everyone with bare hands. Jake manages to free Tuck but finds the colonel had made Kiri a hostage and holding her with a knife. Jake drops his weapon and Spider also came in front to ask his father not to hurt Kiri, but Neytire grabs Spider as her own hostage, meaning she wants her child to be safe or she will kill the colonel's son Spider. Colonel realizes Kiri as he saw furiousness in Neytire's eyes. Neytire immediately takes all her children to the water to escape, but Jake decides to fight Coronel back one last time and end it all here. While both of them get into a hand-to-hand battle, the ship starts sinking rapidly and goes deep, trapping Jake, Colonel, Neytire, and Tuck along with. But Kiri, Spider, and Locke manage to stay outside. They then split to save their family. Kiri uses her bond with the sea animals to use the starfish as their guides to find Neytire and Tuck and their way out. Meanwhile, Jake finally suffocates Colonel and leaves his body to sink in the water. Jake too was about to die out of the air, but Locke bring him back to the surface. Spider is also searching for Colonel, who isn't dead yet, and tries to save him as now he has good feelings for his father. While Jake and Locke reunite with Neytire and the girls, Spider leaves Colonel on a remote island and watches his Ikran come to the rescue. Spider denies joining his father and jumps back into the water to reunite with his family. Later, in grief, the whole village gives a burial ceremony to Neytire and the Tree of Souls unites him with it. Jake and Neytire connect their minds to the aquatic tree. This way they get to visit Neytire's soul one last time. Subscribe to Universal Recaps and turn on notifications for regular updates. Give a thumbs up if you like our content.